It was an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Emily was on the L train heading home from her downtown Chicago office when her mother-in-law, Susan, called. Susan rarely called unless she needed something, so Emily felt an immediate, instinctive sense of dread. Sure enough, as soon as she answered, her mother-in-law's sharp voice cut through the noise of the train. "We need to prepare a celebration, and I'm going to need you to help me out. Emily." It was only after the call ended that Emily realized what Susan's "help me out" really meant. A terrifying command to handle all the arrangements and foot the entire bill. She had already heard the news a week ago that her sister-in-law, Jessica, had given birth to a son. To fulfill her duties as a good family member, Emily had taken time after work to visit them at the hospital. She had brought a thoughtful care package with home-cooked meals and contributed a generous amount to their baby registry fund. Emily considered it the proper, polite thing to do as family, but her mother-in-law's desires didn't end there. "We have to celebrate the baby's birth. He's the first grandson in our family, so we need to do it properly, with all the formalities, don't you think?" Susan's voice on the phone had left no room for refusal. The conclusion was already set in stone. "Susan, with prices being so high lately, what if we just have a cozy get-together at your house with just the immediate family?" Emily had suggested cautiously. "Jessica is still recovering, and it might be hard for her to go out." "What on earth are you talking about? That's a ridiculous idea," Susan scoffed. "Our relatives are dying to see the new baby. If we just gloss over a happy occasion like this, how am I supposed to face Jessica's in-laws later? You can be so dense sometimes." "All right. When are you thinking of having it?" "I need to check my schedule. Next Saturday. I've already picked the date." "It's perfect. As for the venue, you can handle that. You organize big events at your company all the time, so you'll know much better than I do." Emily squeezed the pen in her hand so tightly her knuckles turned white. Anger simmered inside her, but she kept her voice calm. "Susan, I need to know how many people will be attending to find a venue. It's really hard to get reservations these days." "Well, let's see. About 25, or maybe we should plan for 30 to be safe. We have to invite the aunts, the uncles, and of course, all of Jessica's husband's family." 30 people? "Susan, for that many people, we'd have to look at a large banquet hall or a hotel restaurant, not a regular place." "Why do you have to question everything?" Susan's voice was syrupy sweet, but it held a chilling edge of coercion. "Just work your magic like you do at the office. I want to show off to the relatives how capable my daughter-in-law is." Emily bit her lip and asked the most crucial question. "I understand. So, what's the overall budget you have in mind? With that many people, the cost will be quite significant." "The budget? Oh, honestly, you can take care of that. I don't know the first thing about current prices, and I can't stand all those complicated numbers. Just book something nice and impressive. Surely you're not planning to skimp on our family's first grandson celebration over money, are you?" And with that, she hung up. Emily stood there for a long moment, staring blankly at the ceiling of her apartment. In her mind, invoices for thousands of dollars were already flying around. When she walked into the living room, her husband, Mark, was lying on the sofa, engrossed in a game on his tablet. "You're home? What was that call about? You look so serious." "My mom wants me to plan a party to celebrate Jessica's baby. She's inviting all the relatives, 30 people in total." "Oh, that's great news," Mark said, his eyes still glued to the screen. "It's been a while since we had something to celebrate in the family." "You can handle it, babe. You're great at this kind of stuff." Emily barely managed to swallow the sigh rising in her chest. "Mark, this is a huge undertaking. We might have to cover the entire cost of a 30-person dinner. Your mom completely shut down when I brought up the budget." "Hey, what's there to worry about? You just book a restaurant, right? It's your specialty. It's not like we're cooking at home, so what's so complicated?" "You really don't get it, do you? Just finding a restaurant that can take 30 people is a job in itself. Then there's choosing the menu, drinks, service charges. Do you have any idea how much that costs?" We can just split the bill later. Don't get so worked up over nothing. It's exhausting." Mark rolled over on the couch, turning his back to her. Emily knew that saying anything more would just lead to a fight, so she fell silent. Later that night, her phone began to buzz relentlessly. She had been added to a group chat named Jessica's Baby Celebration. One by one, the relatives from her husband's side joined, and then her mother-in-law posted the first message. "Let's all get together next Saturday. Our Jessica has given us our first grandson. What a joyous occasion. Our wonderful daughter-in-law, Emily, is planning something top-notch, So everyone come with high expectations. The replies flooded in. Comments about how Emily was such a big spender, and how for a first grandson's party, prime rib should be the bare minimum. Then, her aunt-in-law, Carol, sent a private message, adding to the pressure. Emily, dear, I can't eat steak. It gives me indigestion. And since Jessica's in-laws will be there, you should book a formal place. Maybe a nice multi-course meal. Emily replied to each message, forcing a smile emoji at the end of every sentence while biting her lip. Mark, lying in bed, spoke up casually. Wow, the group chat is blowing up. Everyone seems so happy. If you just put in a little effort, you'll really score some points with the family. Booking a restaurant and choosing a menu all costs money. Mark. Even at just $55 a person, that's $1,650. With drinks and extra fees, it'll be well over $2,000. Can't you just order moderately? Don't overthink it. You're a capable woman. Does this situation look moderate to you? Everyone is expecting a 5-star experience. The next day, Emily spent her entire lunch break calling restaurants. But finding a private space for 30 people on a Saturday was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. The few places she found all required a hefty deposit. Do you have availability for 30 people next Saturday? We do have a private room, but we require a $300 deposit in advance. And on weekends, we only offer our tasting menus, which start at a minimum of $55 per person. Emily did the math on her calculator. The food alone would be $1,650. Add drinks and service fees, and it would easily exceed $2,000. Is it possible to order from a more affordable lunch menu? We're a high-end establishment. We don't offer special lunch menus for large parties on weekends. It seems your budget is a bit tight. Perhaps you should look elsewhere. The employee's subtle condescension made Emily's face flush. That evening, Mark came home as carefree as ever. Did you find a place? Everyone's been asking me where it is. My mom already went out and bought a new outfit. Not yet. The cost is just too high. $2,000 is not a joke. $2,000? Why would a meal cost that much? Can we afford that? Didn't you say your business was slow and every penny counts right now? I'm sure Jessica's husband can chip in 1,000. Of course, he would. It's his only sister. He'd pay if he had any decency. Why are you always so dismissive of him? Emily didn't say another word. Just then, her mother-in-law called again. Emily, have you booked the restaurant? Why are you so slow? People are pestering me for the location. Susan, the cost is higher than I expected. If you could give me an exact budget, I can work within it. It's over $55 per person. What budget? This is a celebration. Are you trying to embarrass me by being so cheap? Jessica's in-laws are coming. It should be at a hotel, at the very least. You make good money, don't you? You're my daughter-in-law, not a stranger. Then how have you decided to split the cost? We can worry about that after the party. Just make the reservation and send out the announcement. Are you going to keep being so petty about money? The line went dead. Emily put down her phone and rested her forehead on her desk. A new message popped up in the group chat. It was from her mother-in-law. Our wonderful Emily has confirmed our reservation at a top-tier restaurant with a gourmet, multi-course menu. Get excited, everyone. Our daughter-in-law is the best. Emily wanted to turn off her phone and throw it against the wall. That night, she asked her husband one last time. Mark, we need to be clear about the cost of this dinner. I have to pay the deposit. Why do you keep talking about money? It's so annoying. Just put it on your card for now, and we'll get the money from Jessica later or something. Are you trying to make our family look cheap? Emily clenched her jaw. In the cold calculations of her husband and mother-in-law, she was nothing more than a convenient wallet, one that earned well and worked efficiently. It was a bitterly painful realization. On the promised Saturday, Emily arrived at the restaurant with a heavy heart. The moment she stepped inside, she froze. The restaurant occupied an entire, grand historic brownstone. At the entrance, a large, elegant sign was displayed for all to see. Welcome to the celebration for Jessica and her new baby main hall, reserved. Emily blinked, thinking she was mistaken, and checked her phone again. Honey, is this the right place? Her husband asked, walking up after parking the car. This place is way fancier than I imagined. Emily didn't even have the energy to respond. Just then, a sharply dressed manager spotted her and approached with a polite smile. Are you Miss Emily Parker? We've been expecting you. Emily nodded numbly. The manager, beaming, began to lead them inside. Your reservation is confirmed. Your mother-in-law and the other family members arrived about 30 minutes ago and are already seated. This way, please." The interior of the main hall was even more opulent than the outside. High ceilings were adorned with a series of chandeliers casting a soft, warm glow. Each table was draped in crisp white linen and set with fine china and silverware. As they entered the main dining area, her husband's family was already occupying the best seats, chattering loudly as if it were their own private club. Spotting Emily, her mother-in-law waved with a wide smile. "Emily, there you are. We were worried you'd be late. Everyone's been waiting for you." "I'm sorry, Susan. The parking lot was full, and it took a while." Emily felt like a criminal as she hurried to her seat. Mark was already sitting next to his aunt and uncle, greeting them cheerfully. His aunt, beaming from ear to ear, remarked, "Wow, this place is absolutely stunning. Emily, you have impeccable taste. Our family's eldest daughter-in-law is so generous and stylish." Her uncle chimed in, "It's not easy to book a private hall like this on a weekend. Emily, you worked hard. Our new grandnephew must be born under a lucky star to have a celebration like this." Emily felt like she was sitting on a bed of nails, managing only a tight, awkward smile. She remembered the restaurant staff pressuring her for the deposit to secure the reservation, and a chill ran down her spine. At that moment, the guests of honor Jessica and her husband made their grand entrance, carrying the baby. As if on cue, the entire family rose to their feet and swarmed them to get a look at the newborn. "Oh my, who does he look like? He's so handsome. He's definitely our family's boy. Look at his eyes. He's the spitting image of his uncle Mark as a baby. Jessica, you did so well." Jessica, with a smug expression, showed off the baby while constantly snapping photos with her phone. Emily approached to offer her congratulations out of politeness. "Jessica, congratulations. How are you feeling?" "A little better now." "Emily, thank you so much for this. We get to celebrate in such a wonderful place because of you. You're the best." Jessica replied with a bright smile, but her eyes were still glued to her phone, busy posting pictures of her baby and the lavish restaurant to social media. Emily swallowed her bitterness and returned to her seat. Soon after, a waiter brought the menus. As Emily opened hers, her heart sank to her stomach. The elegant, leather-bound menu listed the names of the dishes with flowery descriptions, but there were no prices to be found anywhere. Flustered, Emily discreetly called the waiter over. "Excuse me, is there a separate price list? The menu seems a bit different from what I saw online." The waiter replied in a clear, polite voice, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "We specialize in a premium tasting menu, so prices are not listed. As requested by your mother-in-law at the time of booking, we have prepared the $55 per person course. Beverages and alcohol are charged separately." Emily's face went pale. $55 per person. For 30 people, the food alone was over $1,650. Mark nudged her, his face a mask of shock. "Honey," he said, $55. "You told me you were looking at $30 options. What happened?" "I don't know," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible. "Your mother must have called and changed it to the most expensive option. But the damage was done." Exquisitely plated dishes began to fill the table. Her mother-in-law, as if waiting for this moment, raised her glass high. "All right, everyone, your attention please. Let's toast to the birth of our precious grandson, whom our dear Jessica worked so hard to bring into this world. Cheers." The sound of clinking glasses echoed through the hall. People oohed and awed as they began to eat. "My goodness, these scallops just melt in your mouth. Emily, thanks to you, we're eating like kings tonight. The ambiance here is incredible. The photos are coming out so well. Jessica, I saw your post. You have hundreds of likes already. Everyone is so jealous." Jessica preened, checking the reactions on her social media, while Susan moved among the relatives, basking in the reflected glory as if she were the one hosting. Emily put food in her mouth, but it tasted like stones. Even Mark, sensing the gravity of the situation, squeezed her hand nervously. "Honey, are you okay? Don't worry too much. I'll talk to Jessica's husband later." Emily just nodded, her mind a whirlwind of calculations that now soared well past the $2,000 mark. As the meal was winding down, Susan stood up and announced cheerfully, "Didn't everyone have a wonderful time today? Our Emily worked so hard. It's not easy being the eldest daughter-in-law." Her aunt-in-law nodded in agreement. "Of course. For an event like this, It's not just about the money. It's the heart that counts. Emily is a true gem in our family. Emily forced a smile and lowered her head. Just then, the manager who had greeted them earlier approached her discreetly. Miss Parker, could you please step over to the front desk for a moment? We need to confirm the final charges and process the payment. Emily shot up from her seat as if jolted by electricity. Mark started to get up too, but his mother stopped him. Mark, you stay here. Your aunt is about to leave. You need to say goodbye. Emily can handle it. Isn't she a professional at this? Defeated, Mark sank back into his chair. Emily walked to the front desk alone, feeling like a lamb being led to the slaughter. When the manager handed her the bill, her hands began to tremble. The total is $2,180. That includes the venue fee, the tasting menus, and the wine and other beverages you ordered. The reservation was made under your name, Miss Emily Parker, with your contact information, so we've billed it to you. Emily's voice shook as she pleaded with the manager. Excuse me, is it possible to split the payment? I made the reservation, but it's a family gathering. I'm very sorry, but for a private event booking, our policy is a single payment on the pre-authorized card. None of the other family members have mentioned anything about paying. Emily looked back at the main hall. Her family was busy taking group photos with the baby, completely oblivious. Her mother-in-law was staring off into the distance, pretending it had nothing to do with her. Biting her lip, Emily walked back to the table and poked her husband. Mark, what are you doing? The bill is $2,180. Go talk to your brother-in-law now. Mark's face stiffened, but among the sea of relatives who had just enjoyed an expensive meal, not a single person made a move to take out their wallet. It was then that Emily realized this wasn't a celebration. It was a giant, elaborate trap designed to bleed her dry, and the world went dark around her. As the meal was reaching its peak, Emily returned from the front desk and sat down. Her mother-in-law, as if on cue, tapped her water glass with a spoon to get everyone's attention. A sickeningly sweet smile was plastered on her face. All right, everyone, listen up for a moment. Isn't it wonderful to be treated in such a magnificent place? But you should all know who made this possible. 30 pairs of eyes from her husband's family turned to fixate on Emily. She felt her heart constrict as she forced the corners of her mouth into a smile. Her aunt-in-law, Carol, was the first to speak, her voice dripping with false praise. Of course, it was our capable daughter-in-law, Emily. She must have worked so hard booking the restaurant and arranging this expensive private event. Susan nodded her head vigorously, a look of satisfaction on her face. That's right. And that's why, today, our dear daughter-in-law is treating everyone. As you know, Emily is a senior manager at a big corporation. She earns a great salary and is incredibly capable. A party like this is no problem for her, is it? As soon as the words left her mouth, the hall erupted in cheers and applause. The relatives, as if celebrating the confirmation of a free meal, began to sing Emily's praises in unison. Wow, Emily, you're amazing. To make such a grand gesture in this economy is truly impressive. With such a dependable and wealthy daughter-in-law, Susan, you are truly blessed. I'm so envious. Emily bit her lower lip so hard she could taste blood. The smile vanished from her face, but none of the relatives, busy devouring their free gourmet meal, noticed her distorted expression. Mark, unable to bear it, finally interjected. Mom, what are you talking about? You didn't discuss this with us. How can you just announce that Emily is paying for everything? We were supposed to split it with Jessica's husband. Susan's eyes instantly turned cold, but she maintained her soft, gentle tone as she shut her son down. Jessica's husband? Mark, you really are clueless. They just had a baby. They have a mountain of expenses ahead of them. Where would they get that kind of money? You two don't have kids yet, and you both have steady incomes. You have some room to spare. This is a time to be generous for your family. That's what being a family is all about. Faced with his mother's firm stance, Mark fell silent. Uncle Bob, pretending to be apologetic, raised his wine glass. Emily, we feel so bad about this. I thought your mother-in-law had arranged everything. But thank you. We really enjoyed the meal. It's nothing. Please, enjoy, Emily replied mechanically. Her voice trembled, but she gritted her teeth and endured. Her sister-in-law, Jessica, holding her baby, avoided eye contact, burying her face in the baby's blanket. Jessica, you need to thank your sister-in-law properly. Who do you think you have to thank for all of this? Susan nudged her daughter, who finally spoke up awkwardly. Emily, thank you so much. I don't know what to say. You went to all this trouble for my son's first celebration. Emily didn't answer. She couldn't. If she spoke now, she was afraid the scream boiling inside her would erupt. The table was continuously replenished with luxurious dishes, braised abalone, short ribs, and fresh seafood stew. The relatives, with no concern for the price tag, kept eating and showering praise. This short rib is so tender. You can tell a place is expensive when even the side dishes are this good. Emily really knows how to spend money well. Being treated like this makes you feel like royalty. Susan then turned to Emily with a casual air. Emily, you must have gotten a big raise when you were promoted to senior manager, right? With your bonus, you must clear $10,000 a month, don't you? Emily slammed her chopsticks down on the table with a sharp crack. Susan, why are you suddenly asking about that? Oh, I was just curious, wondering what successful professionals make these days. The higher my daughter-in-law's salary, the better it reflects on our family. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not comfortable discussing my personal income at this table. Despite Emily's cold response, her mother-in-law just chuckled and waved her hand dismissively. Oh, don't be so sensitive. We're not strangers. We're family. We can be curious. Anyway, it's clear you make good money. I can tell by how confident you are. Emily clenched her jaw and said nothing more, swallowing the rage that was rising within her. She no longer had any desire to converse with these people. After the meal, as dessert and coffee were served, people leaned back in their chairs, patting their full stomachs. The manager in the suit reappeared, this time holding a heavy, black leather folder. Miss Emily Parker, could you please confirm the final bill? The additional beverages have been included. He placed the folder gently in front of Emily. With a trembling hand, she opened it. The number printed on the receipt was brutal. Total, $2,180. It was even more than she had anticipated. The tips of her fingers quivered. Susan, who had been peeking at the receipt from the side, asked nonchalantly, "How much is it?" "It looks like it came out to be quite a lot." $2,180, Emily said. Her voice was eerily calm, but it was the quiet before a volcanic eruption. Hearing the amount, a brief murmur went through the relatives. Good heavens, over $2,000 for one meal. These fancy places are no joke. Emily really spent a fortune today. I guess she's the only one in our family who could afford a bill like that. Susan sipped her tea leisurely, driving the final nail in the coffin. Still, isn't it wonderful that our daughter-in-law is treating us so generously? The ones who are capable should be the ones to give. That's how a family stays harmonious. Isn't that right, Mark? Mark tried to speak up again, but his mother held up her hand, cutting him off. That's enough. Your wife will handle it. Don't you dare ruin the mood. Emily slowly closed the folder. She looked the manager straight in the eye and said, "I'll pay by card." "Of course. One moment, please." As the manager walked away with her card, Susan smiled like a triumphant victor and patted Emily's hand. "Emily, thank you so much for today. You really saved my reputation in front of the in-laws. Our eldest daughter-in-law is truly the best." Emily didn't reply, instead turning her gaze out the window. Her eyes were devoid of any emotion. Her aunt-in-law, gathering her purse, added one more thing. "Emily, next time there's a happy occasion, you should plan another party like this. We were treated so well today." "Yes," Emily said, a single word that cut off all further conversation. A moment later, the manager returned with the card machine. The word "approved" flashed on the screen, and a text message alert chimed on Emily's phone. A charge of $2,180 had been processed. Mark gently took her hand and whispered, "Honey, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped this more forcefully." Emily snatched her hand away and stood up. "I'm leaving." She grabbed her bag and walked out of the restaurant without a single glance back. She could hear the cheerful laughter of her in-laws behind her, but she never turned her head. Sitting in her car in the parking lot, she gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles were white. She couldn't even bring herself to start the engine, just stared straight ahead. Tears, she had held back, began to stream down her cheeks, hot and silent. She didn't make a sound. It was just cold fury pouring out with the tears. A few moments later, Mark knocked on the car window. But Emily didn't unlock the door. This wasn't an accident, she thought. This was a performance, planned from the very beginning, with me as the target. Emily whispered to herself, her eyes in the rearview mirror no longer showing the submissive daughter-in-law she once was. In her place was a reflection of cold, icy vengeance. The moment she stepped through the front door after the hellish dinner, Emily's phone began to ring loudly. Too exhausted to even take off her shoes, she slumped onto the floor of the entryway and checked the screen with a trembling hand. As expected, it was her mother-in-law. "Hello, Susan, I just got home." "Emily, did you get home safely? You worked so hard today. It was so chaotic earlier. I didn't get to thank you properly." Susan's voice was much brighter and more cheerful than usual, but Emily could instinctively sense the thorns hidden behind the kindness. As Emily finally took off her shoes and stepped into the living room, Susan's true colors emerged. "By the way, Emily, your aunt and cousins were saying on the way home. They were all shocked at how unusually high the bill was." Emily stopped in the middle of the living room. Her head was spinning. "Yes, Susan, it was $2,180. I told you that earlier." "Oh, it was that much? My goodness. How can a meal cost over $2,000? But Emily, didn't you insist on getting the most expensive option from the start? Didn't you boast in the group chat that you'd find the best place? Have you already forgotten?" The relatives all remember it that way. Emily frowned, her voice rising. "Susan, when did I ever say that? I repeatedly asked you about the budget, and you were the one who insisted on a nice, impressive place, weren't you? Don't you dare talk such nonsense to me. When did I say that? You were the one puffing out your chest, saying you'd handle it since you're an expert from your office work. If you genuinely wanted to celebrate your nephew, you wouldn't be quibbling over money. Why are you blaming me now after you're the one who planned such an extravagant party?" Emily felt like she was arguing with a brick wall. She tried to end the call. "Susan, I'm very tired today. Let's talk about this later." "Oh, right. You must be tired. But Emily, your aunts and uncles want to hear directly from you why you chose such an expensive place and made everyone feel so uncomfortable. I think you're going to have to call each of them and explain yourself." "Got it?" The line went dead. Emily collapsed onto the sofa. Mark came out of the bathroom and sat beside her cautiously. "Who was that?" "Your mother. She's blaming me for the high cost, saying I was being extravagant and chose an expensive place on purpose." Mark looked uncomfortable and shook his head. "Come on. She couldn't have really said that. Aren't you being a little too sensitive? She was probably just worried because the bill was higher than expected." Emily didn't even feel it was worth a response and closed her eyes. But the storm was just beginning. Less than 10 minutes later, her phone vibrated again. This time, it was her aunt-in-law, Carol. "Emily, it's Aunt Carol. The food was lovely today, but I hear the bill was over $2,000. Why did you have to make such a big production out of it?" "Aunt Carol, it was a $55 per person tasting menu. With 30 people, that amount is to be expected, isn't it? $55. Good heavens. We would have been perfectly happy with a $30 steak. Weren't you just trying to show off and went overboard? You organize events for work all the time. You must know cheaper places. Why did you have to pick a place like that and worry your mother-in-law so much?" Emily let out a long sigh. "I looked at many places, but that was the only one that could take a large party on a weekend. It was very difficult to book. Still, this was too much. Do you know how upset your mother-in-law is? She said you're too extravagant with money. Next time, please consult with us instead of just doing whatever you want. Understand?" As soon as that call ended, another one came in. This time, it was Uncle Bob. "Is it true that you paid for the entire meal by yourself? Jessica's family didn't chip in at all?" "Yes. I paid for all of it. My mother-in-law instructed me to." "Oh, I doubt that. She's always been very fair. Are you sure you didn't offer to pay first to score points with the family? And now you're regretting it and blaming your mother-in-law?" Emily fought down a wave of explosive anger. "No, Uncle. I never once volunteered. My mother-in-law said it herself." Well, whatever. But next time, try to be a bit more frugal. In this economy, spending $2,000 on a single meal is just wasteful. It doesn't fit with our family's values." After he hung up, Emily threw her phone across the sofa. Mark, returning from the kitchen with a glass of water, asked again, "Who was that now?" "Aunt Carol and Uncle Bob. They're furious about the cost. They said my vanity and extravagance are ruining the family's reputation. And it's obvious your mother is pulling the strings behind the scenes." Mark just cleared his throat awkwardly and disappeared into the bedroom. Emily lay on the sofa, staring at the ceiling, but her chest felt so tight she could barely breathe. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Cousins-in-law, nieces and nephews, and notifications from the group chat. Emily stopped answering. She just let it ring. At 2 a.m., she woke up with a burning thirst. She checked her phone on the coffee table and was horrified. 79 missed calls. Over 50 unread text messages. Each one she opened made her blood boil. You were the one who insisted on a top-notch party. Why are you acting like you regret it now? Your character is really something else. Your mother-in-law has been crying all night, unable to sleep. You need to call her and apologize on your knees. We thought we were invited guests. It feels terrible to hear that you paid for everything just to show off. Don't do this again. With a trembling hand, Emily put the phone down. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was a systematic attack, orchestrated by her mother-in-law and executed by the entire family, to frame her as the guilty party and force an apology out of her. Mark emerged from the bedroom, looking disheveled. Honey, why are you still up? Why are there so many calls? Emily wordlessly handed him the phone. As he read the messages, his face turned ashen. What? What is all this? 79 calls? They're all from our family? Yes. Your mother has been spreading the lie that I insisted on paying out of my own vanity. They're trying to turn me into a shameless, extravagant daughter-in-law and make me beg for forgiveness. Mark was speechless, staring at the phone. Even the word sorry seemed to be stuck in his throat. Emily looked out the window at the dark, oppressive night and made a decision. This wasn't a joke. From the beginning, this was a carefully scripted play to use me as a bankroll and then silence me. Her eyes were no longer filled with sadness. Instead, they held the cold, sharp glint of vengeance. To protect herself from the suffocating swamp that was her husband's family, she realized it was now her turn to become the monster. At 7 a.m. on Sunday, the family group chat exploded with notifications, jolting Emily from a restless sleep. With swollen eyes, she picked up her phone with a shaky hand. The first thing she saw was an utterly infuriating message from her mother-in-law, Susan. I feel so bad that Emily seemed uncomfortable about the cost yesterday. She was the one who insisted on a top-notch celebration. We were all planning on just a simple get-together at home. Emily stared at the screen, her fingertips trembling with rage. But what was even more galling were the replies from the family that followed immediately after. Her aunt-in-law, Carol, replied as if she'd been waiting for the cue. That's right, Susan. We just thought we were going for a casual meal. But Emily was so insistent on giving Jessica a proper celebration that she went overboard. We all felt bad refusing, so we went along with it. It's weighing on my mind. Uncle Bob wasted no time chiming in. Exactly. I originally suggested a simple $30 steak dinner. But Emily said that was too modest for our family's reputation and that she would handle everything and book the best. You all remember that, right? Emily's jaw dropped. The $30 option was something the restaurant hostess had mentioned in passing during a booking call. Her uncle hadn't even been there, yet he was fabricating a story as if he had been a witness. A cousin-in-law joined in, playing the role of a saint. Well, we're family, so we should be understanding. Emily meant well, even if the result was a bit excessive. Emily, don't beat yourself up over it. Emily started to type a rebuttal, but stopped. Her mind went blank. More accurately, she couldn't fathom what logic could possibly prevail against this collective, deliberate memory fabrication. Just then, Mark came out of the bedroom. Honey, why are you glued to your phone so early? You look pale. Look at the group chat. Just look at what your family is doing. Mark took the phone and began to read. As he scrolled, his expression hardened. What is this? They're saying you were the one who insisted on a top-notch party? Is that true? Are you serious right now? Emily stared at him in disbelief. You know better than anyone that I never said that. It was your mother who pressured me into booking a fancy place, and I did it against my will. Mark reread the messages. A confused look on his face. His cowardly eyes darted back and forth. But, honey, are you sure you didn't say something that sounded like that in front of the relatives? I seem to remember you saying you'd organize it wonderfully, like one of your company events. My mom wouldn't just make something up. Emily looked straight at Mark. The betrayal from the person she trusted most cut deeper than any knife. That was me taking responsibility for the task your mother forced on me. It wasn't me offering to spend over $2,000 of my own money on an extravagant party. Why are you doing this too? Okay. Forget I said anything. Why are you yelling? Just calm down. Mark looked flustered and quickly escaped the living room. Emily threw her phone onto the dining table and went to the kitchen. She chugged a glass of cold water and took deep breaths, but the fire in her chest wouldn't subside. The gaslighting in the group chat continued. Emily, don't take our words the wrong way. We're just clarifying the facts as they happened. That's right. It's better to clear this up now, so we don't have misunderstandings over money later. Your mother-in-law was so worried she couldn't sleep, and her blood pressure shot up. Maybe you should give her a call, Emily? Apologize a little. Emily brewed a cup of coffee, reading each new message as it came in. For a moment, her mind was a mess. Did I do something wrong? Could I have said something like that without realizing it? The doubt crept in like a monster, but she quickly shook her head. She began to meticulously review the past week. From the first phone call, where her mother-in-law had demanded the party, to the final booking of the restaurant, Emily had clearly asked about the budget 3 times. Each time, her mother-in-law had dodged the question with a vague, "You take care of it." While she had posted in the group chat that she would look for a nice place, she had never once used words like top-notch or extravagant. Emily opened her phone and scrolled through the entire group chat history from the beginning. Besides her message, "I will look for a nice place," there was no other mention of money. She took a deep breath. The fog was clearing, and she could finally see the truth. This wasn't a mistake. This was a meticulously planned operation to use me as their bankroll, and then silence me. Emily took a notebook and a pen from her study. She began to map out the timeline of this ugly charade. 1. Susan calls and unilaterally demands a celebration. 2. She confirms only the date, intentionally avoiding questions about venue and budget. 3. She publicly declares in the group chat that Emily will handle everything, creating an atmosphere where refusal is impossible. Sue. She has the reservation made under Emily's name, shifting all legal and financial responsibility to her. 5. During the meal, she makes a surprise announcement that Emily is treating everyone, making it impossible to back out. 6. She ensures the final bill is presented directly to Emily, applying maximum pressure. 7. Afterward, she mobilizes the relatives for a synchronized phone attack, raising issues about the cost. In the group chat, she leads a campaign of collective memory fabrication, painting it as something Emily wanted, thereby gaslighting her into submission. Looking at her notes, Emily let out a cold, bitter laugh. The pattern was crystal clear. Mark approached her cautiously. "What are you writing so diligently this morning? Are you organizing something?" "Yes, I am," she said, her voice like ice. "I'm drawing up the blueprint of how your family hunted me down." "Why do you have to use such harsh words? It's over now. Let it go. It's not good for your health." Emily looked at Mark with eyes as cold as stone. "It's not over. This is just the beginning. You think this was just a simple family squabble, don't you? No. This was a structured, criminal act designed to push one person to the brink." Mark shook his head, unable to understand, and retreated to his room. Emily closed her notebook and stood up. "I'm going to the office today. I need to get out of this house, even if it's just for weekend work." "Honey, wait. Let's talk more. One phone call to my mom could clear all this up. Why are you being like this? Shut your mouth. We'll talk later. Right now, I need to perfect the cold-blooded plan for revenge that's forming in my mind." Emily went to her room and changed into a professional, almost combative outfit. The woman in the mirror was no longer a weary daughter-in-law with dark circles under her eyes, but a ruthless hunter stalking her prey. Her phone vibrated again. It was Susan. "Emily, why aren't you answering my calls? Are you ignoring your mother-in-law? Call me back this instant." Emily shoved her phone deep into her purse and opened the front door. Ignoring her husband's calls and her mother-in-law's demands, she stepped out into the cold air. Looking at her reflection in the elevator mirror, she whispered, "No more wasting energy on emotions. I will dismantle the very structure you built, using the exact same methods. Just you wait." Her steps were more resolute and chilling than ever before. Monday morning. The first thing Emily did upon arriving at her desk was turn on her laptop. The tearful, emotionally manipulated daughter-in-law was dead. From now on, she would operate with cold, hard facts to expose the architect of this vicious trap. Her first call was to the restaurant. "Hello, this is Emily Parker. I booked the main hall for a private event this past Saturday. I have a few questions about the reservation process." "Ah, yes, Miss Parker. That was quite a grand event you hosted. One moment, let me pull up your file." Emily could hear the clicks of a mouse over the phone. She held her pen, waiting anxiously. The reservation was made on the 20th of last month. directly over the phone. The booking is under Emily Parker, with your phone number listed as the contact. Emily meticulously noted the date and time. When the reservation was made, are there any specific records of my requests regarding the menu or the course? Of course. We record all our booking calls. Initially, you inquired about our standard $30 course. However, you called back later and confirmed an upgrade to the $55 premium tasting menu. You added that it was a large, important family event, and you wanted to treat everyone properly. Emily's grip on her pen tightened. The lie was so vivid it was chilling. Are you certain I said that? That I, myself, said I wanted to treat everyone properly? One moment, ma'am. We have a recording system. Let me double-check. Ah, here it is. To be precise, your mother-in-law said that since it was a family event, she wanted it done properly. She was the one who said to change it to the best course available. The scattered puzzle pieces were finally clicking into place, forming one large, hideous picture. Emily calmly requested a copy of the audio file and ended the call. When she got home that evening, Mark was waiting for her, pacing anxiously in the living room. Honey, you're back. Mom called my phone dozens of times today. She's furious that you're not answering. Are you really going to keep this up? I'm not in the mood for an emotional argument with you right now, Emily said, her voice sharp. Sit down. She opened her laptop. Mark sat on the edge of the sofa, a look of confusion on his face. I'm going to show you the blueprint of how your family preyed on me over the last week. Emily began, her tone frigid. Pay close attention. On the screen was a detailed timeline, complete with evidence. Look, your mother first called on the 15th of last month to announce the party, giving me only the date. 2 days later, she called again and dumped the task of finding a restaurant on me because I'm the expert. She repeatedly brushed off budget questions with, "You take care of it. You remember that, right?" Mark stared at the screen and nodded blankly. When I first called the restaurant, I inquired about the $30 course. But immediately after, I had a 1-2-minute call with your mother. Do you know what she said? Jessica's in-laws are coming. You need to uphold my reputation. Get the best one. It was under her direct orders that I called the restaurant back and changed the menu. Mark's eyes started to waver. Emily brought up the next piece of evidence. On the day of the dinner, when the manager confirmed my name, your mother was standing right there, smiling smugly, and during the meal, she announced, "Today, my daughter-in-law is treating everyone." That wasn't a spontaneous comment. It was the final nail in the coffin, designed to shift all financial responsibility onto me. Finally, Emily displayed an analysis of the 79 messages she had received since that night. They all attacked me, as if on cue, for being extravagant and choosing an expensive place. But there is no record anywhere in the group chat of me ever saying I would book a high-end place. It was a lie that started from your mother's lips and spread like wildfire among the relatives. Emily snapped the laptop shut. The sharp sound echoed in the quiet living room. Mark was silent for a long time, his face as pale as a sheet. "I'm sorry," he finally managed to say. I just thought Mom was complimenting you. I had no idea it was like this. It's a little late, but at least you know now. And look at this. It's a text I got from your sister today." Mark snatched the phone from her hand. On the screen was a long message from Jessica. "Emily, I had no idea. I never imagined you were paying over $2,000 all by yourself. Mom told me the relatives were all splitting the cost, and that you were just helping with the reservation. That's what I thought the whole time. I'm so sorry." Mark sank back into the sofa, looking utterly defeated. His lips trembled as he whispered, Jessica didn't know either? So, there was only one person who knew everything. That's right. It was a play directed and produced by your mother from start to finish. A flawless script to use me as a bankroll. Let her take the credit in front of the relatives, and then frame me as a vain, extravagant daughter-in-law to shut me up. Emily stood up, grabbing her bag, and looked down at Mark coldly. "So now you know what I have to do. You have a choice. You can either stand with me and end this disgusting charade, or you can keep playing the dutiful son and stab me in the back." She didn't wait for an answer, walking into the bedroom and closing the door behind her. Alone in the living room, Mark's phone began to ring again. The screen lit up with a name. "Mom." Mark stared at the ringing phone, and for the first time in his life, he declined his mother's call. A heavy silence filled the apartment. In the darkness, Emily's eyes shone with a chillingly bright light. On a Sunday afternoon, The family gathered at Susan's house for her 73rd birthday. Normally, Emily would have been sweating in the kitchen for days, shopping and preparing food. But this time was different. She and Mark arrived exactly at the scheduled time. As they stepped inside, the living room was already full of relatives. From the aunts to the uncles and cousins, everyone fell silent the moment Emily walked in. A strange tension filled the air. Aunt Carol was the first to break the silence with an awkward laugh. "Oh, there you are. We were getting worried. You must have been busy since the last party." Instead of offering a submissive smile, Emily gave a calm, composed nod. "Hello. I've had a lot on my plate." From the master bedroom, the guest of honor, Susan, emerged with a dignified air. Her lips were smiling, but her eyes were sharp and furious, ready to devour the daughter-in-law who had been ignoring her calls. "Emily, you're here. It's my birthday, and it's so hard to get a glimpse of my own daughter-in-law. So, has that unpleasant business from last time been sorted out? You completely ignored my calls, and it's caused quite a stir among the relatives." Emily took a large tablet from her bag. She placed it squarely on the coffee table in the center of the living room, where all eyes were focused. "Yes, Susan. Actually, I've prepared some materials today to clear up those misunderstandings completely." The room fell silent as if doused with ice water. Mark, mortified, grabbed Emily's sleeve and whispered, "Honey, not now. It's Mom's birthday. Let's talk about this quietly later. Please." "No, this is the perfect time, with the whole family gathered. It's much cleaner than having people whispering behind my back." Emily firmly shook off her husband's hand and turned on the tablet. On the screen, neatly organized files appeared, sorted by date. "Everyone has been branding me as an extravagant daughter-in-law because of the cost of Jessica's celebration. I'm here today to walk you through the facts of why I made the choices I did." Aunt Carol waved her hands in protest. "Emily, that's all in the past. Do you really have to ruin the mood on your mother-in-law's birthday by bringing this up? Let's just let bygones be bygones. As the person who was wronged, it's not a bygone for me. So please, listen carefully. On the 15th of last month, Susan called me for the first time about Jessica's party. Here is the call log. The time is recorded down to the minute and second. A call log was displayed prominently on the screen. Susan's face began to tighten. "Well, yes, I proposed the idea. But, yes. And 2 days later, you called again and delegated the task of finding a venue to me. When I asked about the budget, you repeatedly said, 'You take care of it.' Now, look at the group chat history. I asked about the budget 3 times, but you never once gave an answer." The screen switched to show screenshots of Emily's questions in the group chat, highlighted in red. Uncle Bob cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable. "Emily, if you dig up every little thing like this, how are we supposed to face each other as a family? Aren't you being a little too rigid?" "It's precisely because we're family that we need to be precise. I was willing to let it go. But while I was ignoring your calls, I received 79 missed calls and over 50 abusive text messages. All of them accuse me of being a spendthrift. This isn't a simple misunderstanding. It's a coordinated attack." Emily swiped through the screen without hesitation. The vitriolic text messages from the relatives appeared, clearer than if they were on a TV screen. No one could speak. "The reservation was in my name because I was handling the booking. But changing the menu to the $55 course was not my decision alone. Are you all curious to know what my mother-in-law said while I was on the phone with the restaurant?" Susan's face turned beet red as she shouted, "Emily Parker, are you telling me you recorded your own mother-in-law? How can you still call yourself my daughter-in-law?" "No, Susan. This is the booking confirmation recording provided by the restaurant. Let's have a listen." Emily pressed play. In the silent living room, the voices of the restaurant staff, Emily, and Susan's sharp tone echoed vividly. "Staff, ma'am, shall I proceed with the booking for the standard $30 course?" Emily, 1 moment. "Susan, should we go with the $30 option?" "Susan, are you kidding? Her in-laws are coming? That looks too cheap. I told you to do it properly. Get the best one, Emily." "Emily, okay. Then please book the $55 premium tasting menu." When the recording ended, the room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Susan's face was not just white, but a deathly pale, and she was trembling. "That's... My voice was recorded too quietly. When did I ever tell you to get something so expensive? You just interpreted my words too broadly." "Susan," the call was on speakerphone. The restaurant employee confirmed they clearly heard your insistent tone. And as for the lie that I boasted in the group chat about booking a top-notch place, who started that rumor? The only message I sent was, I will look for a nice place. Emily scrolled through the entire group chat history to prove her point. A cousin-in-law asked in a small voice. So, it wasn't true that Emily offered to pay? My aunt said Emily was treating everyone. It seems someone deliberately distorted the facts. I had absolutely no reason to shoulder a $2,180 bill by myself. Uncle Bob sighed deeply, rubbing his temples. Well, this is just mortifying. What a disgrace for our family. I was prepared for the disgrace. Which is why I have a proposal. From now on, all family events will be prepared and paid for individually. No room for misunderstanding. No one's wallet gets emptied. It's much cleaner. Don't you think? Susan slammed her hand on the floor and wailed. Are you out of your mind? Who counts every penny between family? Is this what I get for raising a son? Until now, it was only my money. There was no family money. This tradition of treating the daughter-in-law as a bankroll ends today. Leaving her frozen in shock family behind, Emily picked up her tablet. As a final blow, she displayed the apology text from her sister-in-law. Jessica didn't know either. I think everyone here now knows who the architect of this entire charade was. Emily looked straight at her mother-in-law. Susan's lips quivered, but she couldn't offer a single excuse. Well, happy birthday. I'll be leaving now. Emily walked out of the living room without a second glance. Mark started to follow her, but she held up a hand at the front door. Don't follow me. You stay here today and help your mother salvage what's left of her shattered pride. As she started her car, she could see the window of her in-law's house. She imagined the bitter accusations and shame being exchanged inside that brightly lit home, and a faint smile touched her lips. For the first time, she felt a heavy weight lift from her chest. Emily was no longer the pushover in the guise of a good daughter-in-law. She was free. A month after the disastrous birthday party, an alert from the family group chat once again disturbed Emily's newfound peace. The message was, unsurprisingly, from her mother-in-law. Uncle Bob's 60th birthday is on the 3rd of next month. He's a respected elder in our family, so we should all gather for a grand celebration. Emily sipped her tea, her face impassive as she read the screen. As predicted, Aunt Carol immediately chimed in. Great idea, Susan. Of course, we should celebrate. Where should we have it? Susan, as if waiting for that exact question, aimed her next message directly at Emily. Our Emily knows best when it comes to booking restaurants and planning events. Maybe Emily can take the lead on this one too. A cold silence fell over the group chat. None of the relatives who had witnessed the truth about the $2,000 incident dared to second the motion. Without hesitation, Emily typed a short, clear reply. I will not be participating in this event. The group chat froze. A moment later, a furious message from her mother-in-law appeared. Emily, what is the meaning of this? It's your uncle's 60th birthday, and you're just going to skip out on a family event? I am unable to attend due to personal reasons. What reasons? You have a duty as a daughter-in-law in this family. Emily didn't reply further. She flipped her phone face down and finished her tea. Her husband, watching nervously, asked, Honey, if you do this, Mom is going to have a fit and blow up your phone. Are you sure you'll be okay? Let her. And when she calls, you answer it. What am I supposed to say? You know what she's like. Tell her the truth. Tell her I have declared that I will no longer be handling the planning, booking, or financing of any more family events. If you don't draw a clear line in the middle, this will go on for the rest of our lives. Mark looked conflicted, but he fell silent under Emily's steely gaze. The next day, Susan's phone calls began. Over 20 missed calls in a single day. But Emily never once pressed the answer button. Eventually, the anger was directed at her son. Mark, why isn't Emily answering her phone? Has she no respect, ignoring her mother-in-law? Mom, Emily must be busy. Busy? Don't be ridiculous. I know she's avoiding me on purpose. It's your uncle's 60th. How can the eldest nephew's wife not show up? You need to convince her, now. Mark paused, and then, for the first time, he found his voice. Mom, Emily doesn't want to plan our family events anymore. She was hurt too deeply by what happened last time. Please, you need to understand. Understand? What nonsense is this? Family members can have disagreements. Is she really going to be this cold-hearted over something so trivial? And you, her husband, you can't even control your own wife? You're just taking her side? The line went dead. Mark let out a deep sigh and looked at Emily. But her resolve was as solid as a rock. A week later, the group chat was in a state of chaos again. The uncle's birthday was fast approaching, but no one had taken charge. "Can someone please find a venue for the party? We're running out of time," Susan pleaded. The chat remained silent. Why is no one answering? Who is going to book the restaurant? After a long pause, Aunt Carol cautiously replied, "Susan, my eyesight is getting bad. I can't really use the internet. I don't know anything about booking restaurants." Even the uncle himself chimed in. "I've never done anything like that. Maybe it's better if we just order takeout at home." Frustrated, Susan turned to her son-in-law. "What about you, David? You're young. You must know how." "I'm sorry, Susan. I'm swamped with a project at work. I don't have a spare moment. You should ask Emily again. She's the expert." Susan's focus returned to Emily. This is something Emily could do in minutes. "I don't understand why everyone is being so difficult. Emily, can't you just help out this one last time?" Emily read the message and let out a cold laugh. Then, without a shred of hesitation, she pressed the leave chat button. A week before the uncle's birthday, Mark came home from work with a look of resignation. "Honey, Uncle Bob's 60th birthday party is officially canceled." "Is that so? They gave up sooner than I thought. No one booked a restaurant, so the date just passed. Mom is at home, crying and screaming that it's a disgrace to the family. Is that my fault? Out of all those relatives, not a single one of them was capable of making a phone call." Mark couldn't answer. "The family that couldn't even organize a single meal without me was the same one that called me extravagant and accused me of being a show-off. They're just paying the price now." The next day, unable to contain her rage, Susan showed up at Emily's house unannounced. The doorbell rang with a hysterical urgency. Emily calmly opened the door. Her mother-in-law stormed into the living room, panting with anger, and collapsed onto the sofa. "Emily Parker, are you really going to be like this? Do you know that your uncle's birthday was canceled because of your stubbornness?" "I heard. But Susan, I informed you in advance that I would not be participating." What's more surprising is that in all that time, none of the other family members made a single reservation. You knew perfectly well that no one else could do it. We're family. How can you be so cold-hearted? If you just sacrificed a little, everything would be peaceful." Emily smiled, a smile as cold as ice. "Sacrifice. Susan was forcing me to pay a $2,180 bill as sacrifice. Or was orchestrating 79 harassing phone calls from relatives the reward for that sacrifice? That was a misunderstanding because I misspoke to the restaurant staff. How many times do I have to tell you? Should I play the recording for you again? Or would you like me to read you the documented timeline?" Susan was speechless, her lips trembling. Emily delivered the final blow. "Susan, I will no longer be your convenient wallet or your emotional dumping ground. The venue scouting, the reservations, the financial burden, all of that sacrifice is over. If that makes me cold-hearted, then I will live as a cold-hearted person for the rest of my life. So please, never look for me again." Is this how you treat your mother-in-law? You'll regret this one day. Do you want to be shunned by your own family? I'll be the one to regret it, so you don't need to worry. And if you would all shun me, I would be truly grateful." Susan shrieked, snatched her purse, and shot up from the sofa. As she stormed out, she spat venomously. "Fine, go live your life. I don't need a daughter-in-law like you anyway. Don't you ever set foot near my house again." "Yes, I understand. Please, keep your promise." The slam of the door echoed through the apartment, followed by a peaceful silence. Emily sat on the sofa and looked out the window. The afternoon sun was wonderfully warm. Just then, her phone rang. It was Aunt Carol. "Emily, your mother-in-law just called me," sobbing her heart out. "Don't you think you should try to comfort her? She's still an elder." "Aunt Carol, does being an elder give someone the right to frame their daughter-in-law as a thief? I have done nothing wrong, so I have nothing to apologize for." Stunned into silence, Aunt Carol hung up. When Mark came home that evening, he took in the atmosphere and sat down quietly beside Emily. "So you really went head-to-head with Mom, huh? She was the one who told me not to come back. What are you going to do?" Mark took Emily's hand and held it tight. "I'm on your side. I should have protected you from the very beginning. I'm so sorry it took me this long. From now on, let's just be happy, the two of us." They ate a quiet, peaceful dinner together. The table, free from the interference and unreasonable demands of his family, felt more abundant and warm than ever before. Later that night, a final declaration from Susan appeared in the now decimated group chat. From now on, all family events will be handled by each individual. I won't ask anyone for favors, and I'm done trying to please my daughter-in-law. Everyone, take note. Emily saw the message and quietly left the group chat for good. It's finally over, she thought. She looked out at the night sky and took a deep, cleansing breath. She was no longer a tool for someone else's convenience. She was the master of her own life, and she was just taking her first step forward.